If you are not a part of the premium section of Sic'Em365.com, you miss on a lot of different people who analyze, write about before a game, after a game, and all the things in between. And J.J. Joe, in fact, has one that's in the premium section on the TCU in Review, and he joins us on 365 Sports. And a lot of it is about Baylor quarterback Blake Shapen. And I know there were some moments during the game, and a lot of people were putting heat on his performance, and in some cases deservedly so, with some decisions. But, JJ, you played that position. Where is Blake, in your opinion, based on his what would really be the start of his second year as a starting quarterback in college football?
Well, thanks for having me again, man. I enjoy these segments. Hate that we're slowly coming to an end here, but I just think he's in the normal development cycle for a Division I FBS quarterback. Blake has been on campus there 3 years, and this is really his first season starting. He started 2-3 games last year. He played about 5 or 6 before this year. So I just think that sometimes because we were coming off such a successful year, there were high expectations for this team, and it just misfired. And a lot of that is going to fall at the feet of the quarterback, rightfully so, because, the quarterback gets a lot of the praise, and you're going to get an inordinate amount of blame. Now, typically as quarterbacks, we deserve some, but we're going to get an inordinate share of that because of the visibility of the position. But I think Blake Smoke is right where he needs to be. He is learning and has learned, I think, this year that, the responsibility of being the man is a little different than the desire to be the man. It's a lot comes along with a lot of responsibility, and it always takes continual improvement.
JJ, where do you think the step needs to come for Baylor to go from, look, they grew up a lot into the week between Kansas State and TCU and rallied to play a much better game, but where they get the idea of the one moment that matters, you have to make that play, because it seems like collectively they haven't all gotten there yet.
Like Jaron McVay last year?
Yeah, exactly. Like Jaron McVay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a fantastic play by Jaron McVay. We've seen that 1,000 times. Well, it's something that's developed over time, and what I would have loved to have seen this year is, of course, them build. Not that you have a better record, but for them to build on those kinds of things that happened last year. The way Petrie played, the way Bernard played, the way J.T. Woods played, the way McVay played. You want to see them build on that. And this year we took a step back, unfortunately. And, if you think about it, all those close games last year, for the most part, save for the TCU game, we won. We won most of those close games. And this year we've lost our share of them. But we could have easily been a four-loss team last year if we think about it. But this year, those games where we had the experience, we had that one or two players to make that tackle or make the catch in Tyquan Thornton or Aaron Estrada's case, or make the run in Abram Smith's case or Treston Edwards' case. We replaced all of those players, many of whom are in an NFL camp or on a practice squad roster, with young players. And so we're not making as many of those plays that we made last year, and thus you have 3 more losses.
JJ, you've seen a lot of Baylor football games. This is not to keep pouring on salt into the wound, but where is that one for you in terms of just kind of that feeling of devastation and, oh man, it was right there. I have to imagine it ranks pretty high, because that's certainly the feedback I've gotten from a lot of folks who've watched a lot of Baylor football over the years, even with the recency bias.
Yeah, no, Craig, it's up there, man. But I'll say this: I don't know, and I'm going to put a context. The Michigan State game to me hurt more than this one did, unfortunately. And I know it's TCU now, but to me that was going to be the first big bowl game Baylor won. We were like really taxing a Big Ten team that people thought, Big 12 football, all this stuff about the ball flying around the yard was just kind of a lot of just like little pretty stuff. And then they came back and beat us. But this is up there. But I'll tell you this. As soon as we didn't get the first down, I knew we would not win that game. Because TCU and the talent they have at their skill positions in Max Duggan, Kendra Miller, and he actually didn't play a lot at the end. I think he got hurt by that Al Walcott hit. DeMarcado came in for him, and then they had Quentin Johnson, who actually had to go out. But then they had a couple other young men that filled in for him. I just didn't think we would be able to hold them again. So the game is either going to be won or lost most of the time at the end of the game by your offense. And what I mean by that is that they either are going to hold the ball and milk the clock so much so that it makes it so difficult for the other team to score, or they're not. And on Saturday, we did not hold. We had a chance twice to win that game on offense, and with 4 returning linemen, running backs that are playing good football, a quarterback that should be enough to kind of help us get there. We didn't get there, and then of course I think Duggan made the plays that you expect a veteran quarterback to make.
JJ, the slide on the second to the last, and I know you discussed this in the premium section, but I was going to ask you this. When they had the ball, when they were up at the time, I don't know if it was 9 or 8, whatever it was, 10, but there was a 3rd down and 2. And, Blake has been programmed to basically slide, protect himself. In that particular moment, we would have seen Charlie Brewer, no matter sometimes if he did it too much, run through 2 guys that were a lot bigger than him and maybe make the first down. You think at some point Blake will be able to pick and choose those moments again?
Yeah, I wrote that. I appreciate you bringing that up, Dave. I think early on, and I understand why we did it. I mean, you had Blake and then you had Kyron Drones, and of course we had to transfer in. But behind Blake, we didn't have anything that we knew about. Now, Kyron has shown us he developed, and he probably could go in and handle, a game if he needed to. But I think we programmed Blake early that you have to protect yourself. Mm-hmm. I don't know what meeting it was in. I'm not saying I'm privy to any information, but you could tell the way he played because I remember him coming in as a freshman. That dude a couple times ran. I was like, get down. I was like, he got hit in the Texas Tech game last year, and it looked like he ran into a brick wall. And I was like, that dude's going to kill himself. So we went from that young man to what we saw this year where that guy was sliding. He was like giving up 5 yards sliding, right? Mm-hmm. Someone talked to him. So, but I'm always the proponent that you got to let a quarterback be a football player. Now, you have to tell him, look, you got to be smart because in most instances, you playing the next play is more important than that first down or whatever. But if you tell them to be a football player, most football players know 3rd down, I may have to go to the hospital after this, but I'm going to try to get it. And on that play, that was probably the most disappointing I've been in Blake, that at 3rd and 4, we had the ball, I think what it was, and we could have took a little bit more time off the clock. It's like 6:40, 6:50 left. We're sitting at 3rd and 4, and he probably wasn't going to make it. But I thought if Blake would have run and really said, look, I got to go get something, we probably would have been in a 4th and 1 versus a 4th and 3. And then at that point, coach has to make a decision. Hey, up 8, do I go ahead and try to get this 4th and 1 or 4th and 6 inches, or do I punt it?
Yep. I just thought that was one of those moments. And like you said, he might have been knocked out or might have been a yard short. He also might have made it, and then you milk another couple of minutes off the clock, and who knows. And I'm not questioning that because we're not there. You've been there. That's why I asked somebody like yourself when the game's going as fast as it is as a player on the field.
JJ, they go to Austin this week, a place they haven't won in 8 years. And this is a Texas team that they're getting a big number in 8.5, but this is a very evenly matched game, if you ask me.
No, it is. I think the big difference is Texas is at home, number one. But the second thing is Texas feels a little bit better about themselves today. They lost a tough one to TCU themselves at home. But then they went to Kansas and kind of what I would call got a little get right? You beat Kansas pretty good. John Robinson had a fantastic day. I think he ran for 1,000 yards, didn't he? Still running, didn't he?
I think so.
And that really helped them kind of feel better about themselves. So I think really, having been through it, I just know that these guys, I'm hoping they've turned the page. But there's some losses that just stick with you for a little bit longer than you want it to. And I just have a feel. I said it after the game. I think this loss stays with them until about Wednesday. So if that's the case, if this loss stays with them till tomorrow, which I would not fault them, it would stay with me, then that would tell me we may get started a little slow. And if we get started slow against UT, they will beat us by 2 touchdowns because they start fast and they are front runners, and we can't afford to let this team get ahead of us. So I'm hoping that these guys have flushed it, but that was a tough one, man. And I can't say I'll fault them, but I'm expecting them to fight, but I'm just hoping they're not fighting from behind, and I just got a feeling that might be the case.
JJ, I asked Ricky about this as well. Just wanted to highlight one player in particular. What did you think of Kelsey Johnson, his couple of scores, and what do you think how bright do you think the future is for that young man?
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. Ben Sims, I think the all-season teams have really keyed on Ben Sims, and he hadn't really been able to get loose like I thought he would be able to. But coming to the season, we talked about a player that I thought would jump off that we're not talking about. I say Drake Dabney. And really not knowing Kelsey Johnson, I say Drake Dabney. And the reason I bring up Drake Dabney is I'm saying I believe that if Drake Dabney is able to recover and get healthy, and Kelsey Johnson stays healthy and he's coming, if we bring back both those tight ends healthy and ready to go into next season, I don't think we would have dropped off a tight end at all, even with the loss of the fantastic Ben Sims. Because those guys, I love Kelsey. He's a great blocker. He's shown that he has hands, and he blocks really well to be a freshman. I'm surprised at how well he blocks, but I'm really excited to see him and Drake Dabney playing together next year.
Although it did take him a little while to get around that corner, didn't it?
Hey, now, Craig, I will say this. Now, I'll tell this to you. I said, now, let's be honest. We did not recruit Kelsey Johnson to run around the East. We just didn't recruit him for that stuff.
Yeah, I used this word when on Twitter. He lumbered. He was lumbering. Oh my God! But he made it, and he probably after that he was done. He had nothing left.
I'll just say this: he's lucky he's tall.
Yeah,
because if he didn't have long strides, I don't know if that happens for him.
JJ, on Dave Aranda, I was going to ask Mac Rhodes this. He was on with us earlier on Tuesdays as well, but the jump we saw from Dave Aranda, the 2020, which was a unique year with COVID. And then the jump he made as a coach from 20 to 21, can he make something similar of a jump in a way, him learning on the fly himself as a young head coach from 22 to 23?
I think so. Now, it'll be a challenge there, though, Dave, because, he's losing all of his offensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
He's losing a good number of his defensive linemen. And, with the transfer pool and all the people, guys, you just never know what's going to happen about your roster until you kind of get beyond spring. I think he can. I think he needs to bring in a little help. Now, I don't know everybody who, has redshirted. I haven't been able to see everybody and study them. I know we have talent. But I don't think this team was that far off, guys. Think about it. We have 5 losses in a season. But, man, we have 3 of them that just you look at them and like, goodness gracious, we didn't get any of them, right? So the West Virginia loss, the BYU loss, and now this one. So can we? Yes. But, man, we're going to have some huge holes to fill, and that's going to be the challenge up front. And, shoot, I was kind of upset to see the Squirrel is leaving. I said, well, Squirrel is a senior. He just hadn't been able to play much.
Right.
I think, man, we could use Squirrel back as well.
So, of the teams playing Friday in Austin, they have Baylor's lost 5, Texas has lost 4. Did you know 7 of the 9 losses are a touchdown or less, with Baylor's 3 and then Tech, Oklahoma State, TCU, and Alabama? So these are 2 teams who are trying to get to 8-4, 7-5, and 7 of their 9 losses are by, I think, 7 points or less. Part of flip of
I can believe that.
like you mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've seen Texas play a few times. I saw the Alabama game. Then I saw the Tech game. So I've seen a few of theirs. So yeah, and Baylor's the same way. I've been witness to front row seats all the Baylor ones. So I mean, these teams, both these teams are not far off. They just, something's missing, right? And a lot of times what's missing, and we saw it at Kansas State. Kansas State has, 3 losses now, I think is what they have. I mean, overall, in conference. They have, they just got some guys that just, the Deuce Vaughns, I forget the defensive end they have there. They just got some guys, some guys who have experience, who've been through it, who just seem that let me put it this way. On a football team, you kind of got to have a few of those guys that you feel like they probably would hurt themselves to make a play.
Yep.
I felt like that about Jalen Petrie. I felt that Jalen Petrie would probably go to the hospital, on purpose if he could make a play. And you can't have too many guys like that, but Petrie at 190, whatever he was, would run through guys that were 70 pounds his senior, for lack of a better term. Bernard would do that. And I think this team, to me, missed a little bit of that. Those guys who just, they sometimes when the game gets going, they forsake any regard for life, limb, and protection to just make something happen. And it's hard to replace those guys, man.
I thought a play last year against Texas. Jalen Petrie came on one of those edge blitzes, and he ran into an offensive lineman that probably weighed 300 pounds and was 7 inches taller than him. And I thought he was almost like a fly on a windshield, but he created disruption because he opened it up for something else, and they got a sack, I think, last year. And that's what you're talking about. And you're right. He would play and run through whatever he had to make a play. JJ, great to have you. Good luck Friday. Happy Thanksgiving, sir, and we appreciate all your time.
Hey, guys. Have a blessed Thanksgiving.
You too. JJ Joe, radio, color analyst for Baylor Radio, former Baylor quarterback with us on 365 Sports. When we come back, John McClain, Hall of Famer.